Hey there. Isn't college great? You're meeting new friends, you're more independent, you're in charge of your own schedule, you're learning skills that you're going to be using in your future dream career, right? Don't forget, you have to pass the job interview. Let me ask you a question. How long do you think it will take the job interviewer to decide whether or not they want to hire you for the job? Will it be under 1 minute? Will it be 1 to 5 minutes? Will it be 5 minutes or more? Which one do you think? All right, let me break that down for you. 4.9% of people giving job interviews made up their mind if they were going to hire that person within 1 minute. Another 25.5% decided in the first 5 minutes whether or not they liked that person and whether or not they were going to give them a job. Now, the vast majority, 59.9%, took between 5 and 15 minutes in the job interview to decide whether or not they were going to hire that person. Now, what that means for you is that you have about 15 minutes to make as good an impression as you can. Now, remember, it doesn't matter whether or not you have all of the skills. If you don't pass the job interview, you can't get the job. So we're going to help you with that. Let's get started. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the most commonly asked job interview questions in English.
Why should we hire you?
This question is asked in almost every interview. It's one of the very first things that they will ask you. What you want to do is show confidence. You want to let them know that you think that you can add something good to the company. Usually we like to choose maybe 3 good adjectives. All right, so think about what those would be. Now, take a look at these. Which of these answers do you think would be the most useful in this situation? Okay, here's an example of a sentence that maybe you could use.
Because I believe I'm hardworking, dedicated, and eager to learn new skills.
Now you can see here that there are 3 different adjectives here. Hardworking, dedicated, eager. All of these describe you as a worker, and it shows your confidence. Let's go on. Next.
Where do you see yourself 3 years from now?
This question can have different numbers. It sometimes can be 1, 3, maybe 5 years. But the main idea for this one is you want to let the company know that you're going to stay for a while. Companies pay money to train you. They don't want to keep doing it over and over again. All right? Also, don't ever tell them that you plan on starting your own company, because then you will become a competitor. Go ahead and choose one of these answers here. Okay, here's an example of something that you could say.
3 years from now? Well, I hope that the company would be happy enough with my work that I might be given some bigger responsibilities.
Now, this one.
Tell me a little about yourself.
Please avoid talking about your family. I know in some places it's very common to talk about the members of your family, not in a job setting. Remember, they aren't hiring your family, they're hiring you. Talk about how you are as a worker, and then also make sure to explain that you enjoy spending time with people. Jobs are social. You need to be able to get along with your coworkers, and this answer can help them know that you like being around other people. Take a look at these choices here. Which one do you think would work in this situation? And here's something that might be useful for you.
I'm a hard worker and I like to take on a variety of challenges. I like pets, and in my spare time, I like to relax and spend time with friends.
All right.
Tell me about yourself in 3 words.
Before you go to the job interview, spend just a little bit of time and think about different ways to describe what a good worker and a good person you are. All right? So try to use more positive adjectives. Also, don't keep repeating the same words over and over again. I've heard the word diligent used many, many times. Now, the word diligent is okay, but you don't want to say it more than twice in the same interview. Think of a list of words that can help you explain what a great person and a great worker you are. Take a look at these. Which one do you think would be the best in this situation? Okay, here's a list of some words that you can memorize. Also, though, you'll want to go ahead and take a look and add some more yourself.
Reliable, friendly, sociable, ambitious, diligent, easygoing, loyal, punctual, a team player, conscientious, proactive.
Next.
What did you like about your previous job?
Never say anything bad about a place that you've worked before. Remember, if the employer thinks that you say bad things about your last job, you will probably say bad things about this job too. So always be positive. Now, take a look at these. Which of these do you think would be the most appropriate answer? This is great.
I really enjoyed working with the people and helping others in my previous job. It was a great learning experience.
Okay, let's go on.
Why did you leave your last job?
Now, this one is a lot like the last question in that you should never say anything bad about the place where you just came from. And also let the interviewer know that you really like this job and that you're looking for things that this job can offer you. Which of these do you think is the best answer? And listen.
I really learned a lot in my last job, like how to work under pressure, and now I'm looking for a new challenge.
Okay, next.
What software skills do you have?
Nowadays, almost every job requires you to be able to use a computer. Think about what software this job is looking for. Make sure that you have something that's kind of related to what you expect to be using in that job, all right? Think about the software that you might be using there, and also PowerPoint. Everyone can use PowerPoint. It's not that special, so you don't really need to mention PowerPoint. Now, of these answers here, which one do you think is the better choice? Depending on the job, this would be a great answer.
I'm proficient in many of the Microsoft Office programs such as Word and Excel. I also have experience with Photoshop.
Now,
Do you work well under pressure?
the answer to this question is, of course, yes. Also, though, you should talk about how pressure is actually good for you. Which of these do you think is the better answer? And here you go.
Good pressure, such as having many things to do, helps me to stay motivated and productive.
What is your greatest weakness?
Okay, for this question here, this is a bit of a trick question and everyone hates it. But the trick to this one is don't say that you work too hard. That's an easy answer, and I'm sure that the interviewer has probably already heard that, okay? What you want to do is think of a small problem that you have. For example, maybe time management or working with other people and making everyone happy. Choose a small problem, but you also want to tell a story. Explain how you're improving with this problem. Now, which of these do you think is the more appropriate answer? And there you go.
It's important to me that everyone gets along at work. I sometimes have a hard time because I don't want to disappoint anyone.
Okay, let's move on.
What languages do you speak?
Now, for this question here, there is no exact answer for it. What you can do is think about any language that you maybe have studied, okay? So don't be humble about your language ability. And it's important to let them know that actually you like learning. They would like to hear that. So be sure to let them know. And which of these do you think would be the most appropriate? Okay, for this one here, there are lots of different ways to answer it. Depending on how comfortable you feel your language ability is, you can use any one of these.
I'm fluent in, I have general fluency in, I'm proficient in. I have a working knowledge of. I'm conversational in. I've studied.
And remember, if they ask if you'd like to learn another language, always say yes. All right, let's move on.
Do you feel that you are a team player?
This is one of those questions where you're going to want to say yes, of course. Every company needs people to be able to work together, so you have to be a team player. So you love people. Remember that when you go in, okay? Also, it's very, very helpful if you tell a story about your past experiences where you worked as part of a group. Go ahead and choose the most appropriate answer for this question. And here's something to give you an idea.
Yes, I'm very much a team player. In fact, I've had opportunities in my work to develop my skills as a team player. For example, recently...
Okay, many people have a hard time with this one.
When have you shown initiative?
What companies are looking for is that you can think and help the company all by yourself. You don't have to always refer to your manager, that you can think of things on your own. Also, that you can think of different ways to help the company get better. So, tell a story of a time in your past when maybe you saw a problem and you fixed it. Okay, which of the following is a good example of an answer that you might want to give to this question? Okay, and this is a good example of something you might want to start with.
I'm always looking for ways to improve, and one time I...
Okay. Now the final question can be one of the most important in the interview.
Is there anything you'd like to ask?
So it's very, very important that you have a question. Always have a question at the end of the interview. Do a little bit of research on the company. You can ask them something about what their future plans are, or you can simply ask about what it's like to work there. But what you want to do is you want to get the interviewer talking about the company itself. They will like to explain what it's like to work there. It also shows that you're serious and that you have real interest in working for this company. Which of these questions do you think would be the best one to ask? And here's a very useful example.
Could you go into more detail about the company's culture or values?
This will get them talking about what it's like to work in the company, and you can show again that you're very excited and that you are actually interested in working for this company. Okay, that's it. And don't forget...
Smile and relax. You've got this.
All right. Take your time, do your research, be prepared to ask questions, tell stories, and engage with the interviewer. You got this.